Question 8. The number of points scored by each of 8 teams in a quiz was as follows. We've got to find the range of the number of points scored. To find the range, we select the largest value from the list, and the largest value from the list is 80. Then we select the smallest value from the list, which is 35, and we find the difference between those two numbers. And 80 minus 35 is 45. For the mean, we need to add up all of the numbers, 80 plus 59 plus 73, etc. We find the total of all of those numbers, which comes to 492, and then we divide that total by the number of numbers. There are 8 numbers altogether, so we divide by 8. 492 divided by 8 is 61.5. For the medium, we need to put the numbers in order, starting with the smallest and working to the largest. And that's 35, 45, 59, 59, 62, 73, 79 and 80. And then we count into the middle, finding the middle numbers. If you count into the middle, you'll find that there are 2 numbers in the middle, 59 and 62. To find the median there, we find the number right in the middle of those 2 numbers, which is 60.5. If you can't see where that middle number is, add up 59 and 62 and divide the answer by 2, and you'll get the answer 60.5. Question 9. Louise and Tim went on holiday to a campsite in France. They changed £1,200 into euros when the exchange rate was £1 to 1.19 euros. We've got to work out how many euros they received. To calculate the number of euros, we need to multiply 1,200 by 1.19, as every pound is equal to 1.19 euros. When you type that into your calculator, you get 1,428 euros. For part B, whilst on holiday, they went on a day's outing which cost 404.60 euros. We've got to find the cost in pounds. So this time, instead of going from pounds to euros, we're going from euros to pounds. We're doing the opposite. So therefore, we have to do the opposite to what we did in part A. In part A, we multiplied. So in part B, we're going to be dividing. So we do 404.60 divided by 1.19, which is £340 exactly. For number 10, the diagram shows 6 identical circles and 6 identical squares inside a rectangle ABCD. It tells us that the diameter of each circle is equal to the length of a side of each square, and each square has an area of 25 centimetres square. We've got to find the perimeter of the rectangle ABCD. So therefore, the amount of space that every circle takes up fills the square, except for the corners, of course. So the length and the width of each space that the circle takes up is the same as the length and the width of each square. Each square has area 25 centimetres square. If it's a square, the length and the width have got to be the same. So to make an area, each length and width has got to be 5 centimetres exactly. If every length is 5 centimetres, every length here is 5 centimetres as well. So every side of every square is 5 centimetres. Because we've got to find the perimeter of the rectangle, we've got to find the distance all the way around the outside. Around the outside, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 of those 5 centimetre lengths. So to find the perimeter, we work out what 16 lots of 5 would be. And 16 lots of 5 is 80. So the perimeter would be 80 centimetres. For number 11, in an election for head boy, Andrew received 69 votes, Barry 30 votes and Kevin 51 votes. We've got to find the percentage of the votes that Andrew received. Andrew received 69 votes, and he received 69 votes out of a total of 150, because if we add Andrew's, Barry's and Kevin's votes, that comes to a total of 150. So as a fraction, Andrew received 69 out of 150 votes. On the calculator, to convert that to a decimal, you need to type in 69 divided by 150 and then multiply your answer by 100 to make a percentage. and the calculator will give you the answer 46% exactly. For B, it says the total cost of 6 copies of a magazine and 4 copies of a journal is £29.04. The magazines cost £3.12 and we've got to find the cost of 1 journal. We know we've got 6 copies of the magazine and they cost £3.12 each. So the total cost of those would be 6 times £3.12. Once you've worked that out, you need to take that total away from the total cost of the journals and the magazine, which is £29.04. So we do £29.04 minus the cost of your 6 magazines. That comes to £10.32. We also know that we've got 4 copies of the journal and they must cost £10.32 because that's what I got left once I've taken away the cost of the magazines. So to find the cost of each of those journals, I need to divide £10.32 by 4. So I do £10.32 divided by 4 on the calculator. So the cost of 1 journal would be £2.58. For number 12, it says, using a ruler and a pair of compasses, we've got to construct an angle of 60 degrees at the point A using the line below. Now, whenever you're asked to construct an angle using a ruler and a pair of compasses, you have to construct an equilateral triangle with one of the corners on the point that they're talking about in the question. So they want an equilateral triangle with one point or one corner on the point A. It doesn't matter what size your equilateral triangle is. I'm going to construct one of size 5 centimetres, but it doesn't matter. So from A, using my ruler, I measure 5 centimetres across and I make a mark where 5 centimetres is. Then I open out my compass, so the distance between the pencil and the point is 5 centimetres. I then put the point of my compass on one end of the line, which would be on the point A, and I do an arc above the line. I then move the compass to the other end of my 5 centimetre line and I do another arc above. Then I join each end of the line to where the arcs meet. And by doing that, I've constructed a triangle with every side 5 centimetres long. By doing that, I've automatically constructed a 60-degree angle at A, because every angle in an equilateral triangle is 60 degrees. For part B, again using a ruler and a pair of compasses, we've got to construct a perpendicular bisector. That means the line is going to cut the line PQ in half, and it's also going to make a right angle with that line as well. That's what the word perpendicular means, and bisector means that it cuts the line in half. We put the point of our compass on one end of the line, on P, and we open out the compass so the pencil goes past the halfway point a little bit. We then do an arc above and an arc below the line. Then move your compass to the other end of the line and you do an arc above and an arc below, and then to finish off you join the 2 points where your 2 sets of arcs meet. That line now is cutting the line PQ in half and it's at right angles to that line. For part C, we've got to find the size of the angle marked X, and we start by finding the size of this angle. This shape here is a quadrilateral, which means it's got 4 sides, and if it's got 4 sides, all angles come to 360 degrees. So I need to take the 3 angles that I know away from 360. So I do 360 minus 56 minus 103 minus 128, and that gives me 73 degrees. So the angle here inside the quadrilateral is 73 degrees. These 2 angles are on a straight line, so they add to 180. So now I need to take 73, the angle I've just found, away from 180 to see what I've got left. And what I've got left will be the angle X, and that will be 107 degrees. For question 13, this is our QWC question, so we're given an extra 2 marks for the quality of our written maths methods and for the quality of our writing as well, making sure that spelling, punctuation and grammar are correct. It says that Valley Water Company measures the water used by a household in cubic metres. Their quarterly standing charge was £7.45. The first 25 cubic metres are charged at 93 pence per metre, and all further water was charged at £1.32 or 132 pence per cubic metre, and we've got to find the bill for using 46 cubic metres. We start by finding the cost of the first 25, and each of those cubic metres cost 93 pence each. Now remember that the bill must be in pounds, so convert to pounds straight away to save having to do it at the end. So we do 25 times 0.93 instead of 93 pence. Once we've got that total, we then need to add to that the cost of the remaining units. Now, because we've used 46 altogether and we've already worked out the charge for the first 25, we've got an extra 21 to work out the cost of, because between 25 and 46, that makes an extra 21. So to £25 times 0.93, we need to add 21 times the cost of those extra cubic metres, which is £1.32. In pounds, that comes to £50.97. Once we know that cost, we then need to add on the standing charge, and the standing charge was £7.45. So we do £50.97 plus £7.45. That comes to a total of £58.42. Now the maths is all correct and it's logically set out, so that would give me 1 QWC mark. For the second, I need to do some labelling, making sure that I use capital letters and full stops in my sentences. So for example, I could label the first part of my calculation here with cost of the first 25 units, full stop. Then I could label the second part of my calculation with the cost of the remaining 21 units. Then I'm going to label the £7.45 with add on standing charge, and finally I'm going to label the £58.42 with total bill. For part B, it says that a different water company, Trevi Water, has a different scale of charges. The quarterly standing charge is £4. The first 10 cubic metres are £1.50 per metre, and all further water is charged at £2 per metre. We've got to write down in its simplest form an expression for the quarterly bill in pounds for a Trevi Water customer who uses X cubic metres, where X is greater than 10. So the first 10 cubic metres then, because we know there are more than 10 being used, as X is greater than 10, is £1.50 per metre. So we do 10 times £1.50. The remaining cubic metres then are £2 per metre. Now for the remaining cubic metres, we have to start with X, which is the total amount that's been used, X cubic metres, and we need to subtract the 10 because I've already worked out the cost of those. So I've got X minus 10. So the remaining cubic metres would be X minus 10, and every one of those costs £2 per cubic metre. So I'm multiplying that by 2. I need to add on to that the cost of the first 10, and I also need to add on to that the quarterly charge, and the quarterly charge is £4. Now I need to simplify this. 10 times £1.50 is 15. I can multiply the bracket by 2, so I do 2 times x, which is 2x, 2 times minus 10, which is minus 20, and I've still got the plus 4 on the end. And now I can simplify it further. 15, take away 20 is minus 5, plus 4 is minus 1. I can't collect the 2x with anything, so that stays as it is. So I've got 2x minus 1 as my final expression.